A guy walked into my shop last month holding a receipt, $90 for an air filter. He didn't even look mad, just tired, like he already knew he'd been had, but wanted someone to confirm it out loud. I confirmed it. The part on that receipt cost $12, sometimes less. I checked 3-part stores that same week, and the highest price I found was $14. The job itself, the actual labor of swapping it, takes under a minute once you know where to look. No lift, no special tool. Most cars, you don't even need to pop the hood latch from underneath. You just open it and go. So where does $78 go? Some of it is the diagnostic fee they tack on for opening your hood and looking at a part you could have looked at yourself. Some of it is labor time billed at shop rate for a task that takes less time than tying your shoes. And some of it, honestly, is just markup because most people have no idea what's under that plastic box. So nobody questions the number on the invoice. I've been doing this for a long time. I've watched the same script play out hundreds of times. Someone brings their car in for an oil change. The tech pulls the filter, holds it up to the light so you can see the dust caked into it, and says something like, yeah, this needs to go. And it probably does need to go. That part isn't a lie. The lie is the price tag stapled to a 5-minute job. I asked that same customer if anyone had told him where the filter even lives on his own car. He said no, nobody ever does. And that gap, the space between what a repair actually costs and what a driver assumes it costs, is where a lot of shops make their real money. Not on the parts they stock, on the parts you never learn to check yourself. Here's what actually happens when that filter gets dirty enough. Your engine breathes through it. Every bit of air the engine pulls in for combustion has to pass through that little paper or foam element first, clog it up with enough dust and pollen and road grime, and the engine starts working harder to pull in the air it needs. Worst case, on an older or more sensitive engine, that restriction can drag down fuel economy and throttle response enough that you'll actually feel it. Today, I'm going to show you exactly where this filter lives, how to tell if yours needs replacing right now, and how to swap it yourself in under 60 seconds. By the end of this video, you will never pay a shop markup for this part again. Stick around because the tool you need for this job is probably already in your kitchen drawer. Before we open the hood, quick thing, my name is Bob Jones. I've spent over 2 decades with my hands in engine bays, and if this kind of video saves you money, hit subscribe now so the next one lands in your feed. It costs nothing and it means a lot to this channel. All right, let's get into it. Pop the hood. On the vast majority of gas-powered cars built in the last 20 years, you're looking for a black plastic box, usually rectangular, sometimes closer to a wedge shape depending on the engine layout. It sits near the front of the engine bay, connected to a wide plastic tube that snakes toward the throttle body. That tube is the intake tract. Follow it and you'll find the box every time. The box has clips, sometimes metal spring clips, sometimes plastic tabs you press in with your thumb. A few German models use screws instead. So if you're driving certain BMWs or Audis, grab a screwdriver just in case. But on a Toyota, a Honda, a Ford, a Chevy, most of the time it's clips, no tools required. Pop those clips, lift the lid, and there it is. The element itself looks like a paper accordion, pleated so it packs more surface area into a small space. New, it's usually white or light tan. Dirty, it ranges from gray to brown to, in some genuinely neglected cases, almost black. Here's the test I use in the shop, and you can do it at home right now. Pull the filter out and hold it up toward a window or a light bulb. Light should pass through the pleats. If you can see clean light coming through most of the surface, you've got life left. If it looks solid, if the light barely gets through, that filter is done and it's costing you. There's a second test too. Tap the filter against your palm or a hard surface a couple times. A healthy filter releases a bit of fine dust. A filter packed with debris barely moves because everything's compacted in there. If yours failed either test, here's the whole process. Buy the correct filter for your make, model, and year. Every parts store counter has a lookup system for this, and it takes about 30 seconds. Filters run anywhere from $8 to $15 for most economy and mid-size cars. Some larger trucks and performance engines run a bit higher, but I have never seen a legitimate retail price anywhere close to what that customer paid. Once you're back home with a new filter, pop those same clips again. Lift the lid, pull the old filter straight up and out. Before you set the new one in, take 30 seconds to wipe out the inside of the housing with a rag or a paper towel. Leaves, dust, and the occasional dead bug tend to collect down there, and there's no point installing a clean filter into a dirty box. Set the new filter in the same orientation the old one came out. Most have an arrow molded into the frame showing airflow direction, so line that arrow up pointing toward the engine, close the lid, snap the clips back down, and you're finished. That's the entire job. If you've done it once, you'll never need to look up instructions again. I timed a stopwatch on this exact swap on my own truck a few weeks ago. 53 seconds, and that includes fumbling with one stubborn clip. Keep the old filter around for a minute before you toss it. Compare it side by side with the new one. That visual difference, gray and packed versus white and open, is the same thing a tech would show you on a shop counter, except now you already know what you're looking at and what it's worth. Now, I want to be fair here because not every shop that flags this is trying to rob you. A dirty air filter is a real valid thing to point out, and most techs genuinely believe they're doing you a service by catching it. So the issue isn't the recommendation, it's the price attached to a job that takes less time than making toast. So how often does this actually need replacing? Forget the sticker. Some shops slap on your windshield with a mileage number written in Sharpie. Your owner's manual has the real interval, and for most modern vehicles, it lands somewhere between 12,000 and 30,000 miles, depending on the manufacturer and the conditions you drive in. Conditions matter more than mileage alone. If you live somewhere dusty, drive a lot of gravel roads, or park under trees that drop pollen and debris, your filter will clog faster than someone commuting on clean pavement in a low dust area. That's exactly why the light test I showed you earlier matters more than any fixed schedule. Check it yourself every few oil changes, and you'll know precisely when it's time, instead of trusting a generic interval or a stranger holding it up to a shop light. One more thing worth knowing. This filter has basically no relationship to your cabin air filter, the one that cleans the air blowing through your vents. Different filter, different location, different job entirely, and shops sometimes bundle both into one bigger bill. That's a video for another day, but keep it in mind next time you see two filter charges on the same invoice. I called around to 4 parts stores in my area before filming this just to see how consistent the $12 figure actually is. A basic economy sedan filter ran $9 at one counter, $13 at another, $14 at a third. The fourth store didn't have it in stock, but quoted $11 for order in, nowhere close to $90. Even the priciest truck and SUV filters I found, the bigger ones with more surface area, topped out under $25 retail. There are symptoms worth knowing too, in case you want a heads up before you even pull the filter to check it. A rough idle that wasn't there before, slight hesitation when you press the gas from a stop, a drop in fuel economy you can't otherwise explain. None of these guarantee a dirty filter is the cause. Plenty of other things can trigger the same symptoms, but a clogged filter is cheap enough to rule out first before you start chasing more expensive explanations. If you found this useful, drop a comment with your car's year, make, and model. I read everyone, and I'll tell you exactly where your filter housing sits if you're having trouble finding it. And if you haven't already, subscribing helps this channel keep making videos like this one instead of ones that just try to sell you something. A few things that trip people up: don't use compressed air to try to clean and reuse a paper filter long term. It might knock some dust loose for one extra week, but paper filters aren't designed for repeated cleaning, and you'll damage the pleats before you save any real money. A new one is cheap enough that it's not worth the gamble. Don't force the housing lid if it doesn't sit flush. 9 times out of 10, that means the filters turned the wrong way or a clip caught on the frame instead of snapping into place. Lift it, check the alignment, try again, and don't skip the box wipe down step. I pulled filters out of housings full of leaves that clearly hadn't been cleaned in years, sitting there restricting airflow no matter how new the filter itself was. Last one. Don't assume every strange noise or check, engine light near the front of the engine bay, is this filter's fault. This is a cheap, easy first check, not a magic fix for every problem. If you swap it and the symptom you were chasing sticks around, that's useful information too. It tells you to look somewhere else instead of throwing more parts at a guess. That's the whole job. A $12 part, a job that takes less time than it took me to explain it, and one receipt that never needs to say $90 again. If this saved you a shop visit, do 3 things before you go. Like the video so it reaches more people who are about to get quoted the same number that customer of mine got quoted. Subscribe for the next one because I've got another cheap part, big markup breakdown coming soon. And comment below with what a shop tried to charge you for something this simple. I want to see how bad it gets out there. I'm Bob Jones, and I'll see you in the next one.